Hello there, ladies and gentlemen, how you doing? It's Alexander Hilly123 here, and it's time for a new video. And as you can see from the title, it is time for my third vinyl pickups video today. I think I made my first vinyl pickups video about April, maybe, 2018, and then a few months later, I actually don't know. I got my vinyl player for Christmas 2017, going into 2018, just over a year ago, and in that time I've only made 2 vinyl pickups videos, because the rule is 5 vinyl pickups per video, and not every vinyl is dirt cheap. Not every vinyl is between the average of £15 to £20, and if you're getting it online you've got your postage and packaging as well. So although I am quite frugal with most things and most aspects with money, I do like to splash the cash on some vinyls every so often. I don't know when my first 2 vinyl pickup videos have been so far, but I know the last one was actually it was actually late July. So it's been a while. So since late July I've purchased 5 vinyls, and here they are. And that is the rule. Like I said, these are going to be in order of purchase. The last one was Portishead Dummy, my second vinyl pickups video. And one came in the post today. That's now 5. I've got another one on the way to start off the next video, which will probably be, I usually get, it seems, about 1 vinyl per month, as good as. So, about 5 or 6 months, the next one. But ladies and gentlemen, how about we start with some Black Sabbath. This is Sabbath, Bloody Sabbath. I can't properly see the screen. I've got my microphone in the way here, and I've got Wikipedia up so I can tell you about the albums, but you all know this album. Of course you do. I think this might be my favourite Sabbath album. Either this or Master of Reality, or of course Paranoid. And I think this album kind of leaves the stoner rock and metal sound of Master of Reality a little bit more. And in between Master of Reality and this album there is the Volume 4 album, which isn't exactly people's favourite, but I love Volume 4 anyway. I just love the majority of the Ozzy era of Sabbath, apart from the last couple where I think the drugs had really taken the toll by then and Ozzy was on his last legs. Not last legs in terms of, being alive, but last legs in terms of being able to bring something creative to the table. Obviously he had his solo career in the 80s, but he needed to break away from Sabbath and the rest of the boys. This album, Mr. Bill Ward on drums, incredible. Iommi on the guitars. Ozzy's vocals, I absolutely adore. There can be no doubt, of course, that Ronnie James Dio, is his middle name James? I don't know. Seems weird calling him James, I don't know. It is Ronnie James Dio, isn't it? Dio, let's just call him Dio for fuck's sake. His vocals were incredibly powerful and operatic, but I think that Ozzy's vocals suited Sabbath's style. I do like the Dio albums, especially the Dehumanizer album, which is very underrated. But yeah, this is my favourite Sabbath. It's the 5th album. There's 8 tracks on here. It showcases them at the heaviest, but also the most vulnerable as well, with absolutely beautiful tracks like Spiral Architect, Sabra Cadabra, which is a great groove and everything, but Ozzy got these lyrics about a woman who he's loving. A little instrumental called Fluff, which is beautiful. Sabbath were always so good at creating tracks that deviated from the norm of their heavy metal roots. The opening track and the self-titled, of course, Sabbath, Bloody Sabbath, opens it up. A National Acrobat. Ladies and gentlemen, this doesn't have a bad track, but I especially love Killing Yourself to Live. There's a doomy riff in there, which is heavy as fuck. Who Are You and Looking for Today are probably 2 of the lesser known tracks on this album, but they are still amazing. And there's also just a little bit, in my opinion, of kind of electronics going on in this album, showing you where they would go in the later years when the music wasn't that good. And look at that, we've got a picture of the band. It is so 1970s. It hurts. Anyway, what have we got next, ladies and gentlemen? We have, it's always quite tricky to do this, big bulky vinyls, trying to show them to you guys on the webcam. Well, I'm giving it my best shot. Oh shit, I'm going to drop that one. You don't want to drop this one. It's quite a bulky one, and it needs to be. It is In Absentia by Porcupine Tree. To all you progressive rock and metal fans out there, if you've never listened to this one, you need to give it a listen. A dark journey an incredible album, and one of my favourite bands of all time, Porcupine Trees. So it was only a matter of time until I got a vinyl, and it could have been one of many, but I feel like In Absentia is the band at the peak, at the best. I also adore Dead Wing, Fear of Blank Planet, Stupid Dream, Lightbulb Sun, even Signify. Stephen Wilson, quite simply, is one of the most influential people in music for me, and my musical story and what I've gotten into in the last 10 years. I've been listening to Porcupine Tree for 11 years, and Blackfield and his solo material now is absolutely incredible. I do think he might have just about passed his peak now, but nevertheless, what a career and what a fantastic man. But yeah, this album runs in at nearly 70 minutes. It shows the band going into darker territories, as you can probably tell by the ultra disturbing album cover. And although Wilson has denied it, a lot of fans do like to see this as a concept album of serial killers, maniacs, murderers and rapists and everything. All that good family fun, ladies and gentlemen. But no, it's dark, but there's a lot of beauty there as well. Great guitar riffs and solos, and an influence of Opeth as well. Stephen Wilson was becoming good friends with Michael Ackerfeld from Opeth. Pretty big Opeth fan, although Porcupine Tree is more my style. But yeah, there's more of a metallic vibe here. Gavin Harrison started playing the drums for Porcupine Tree with this album for the first time, and he is, for me, one of the best drummers ever. And he really added to the mix. Richard Barbaria, I don't quite know how to pronounce his name, but he was in the band Japan in the late 70s, early 80s, and among the early 80s, I should say. And he really brings a great balance to the band as well, especially on Fear of Blank Planet. That is the album where he shines the most, Richard, in my opinion. And of course, Colin Edwin as well on the bass. Some of the bass in this album is absolutely disgusting, especially the creator has a master tape. Some of the lyrics are ultra disturbing. There's a song on here about having sex with dead bodies, all that good stuff. There's a song which kind of makes you feel sorry for the maniac, which is Heart Attack in a Lay-By. There's an instrumental that has me feeling and thinking about apocalyptic wastelands. Absolutely fantastic. There's an instrumental called Wedding Nails, which is so badass. Gravity Eyelids, Lips of Ashes, the classic Trains, Blackest Eyes. It's all there. So much more to say about this album. Look at that as well. Wilson is obsessed with trains, if you need to know. And I don't know where that is exactly, but it's pretty sick. I like that. And there are the band In Absentia themselves at the back. 2002, that one, guys. Porcupine Tree. If for whatever reason you never listened to them and you like rock music, for the love of God, give it a listen. Not exactly the most pretentious of progressive rock in terms of songs that are 20 minutes and all that, but it's quite accessible. Not all Porcupine Tree's music is that accessible, but In Absentia is a great starting point in my opinion. Next, ladies and gentlemen, what's this one? Oh my lord, are we doing this? Are we doing this? Indeed, we are doing this. There are not many bands and artists that have touched my soul as much as these next two gentlemen from Scotland. It is. Boards of Canada with music has the right to children. It certainly does, and there are the children with the parents. The faces, as you can see, all obscured. Complete bullshit. You know what I mean? It's just such a... I don't know. There's quite a lot of pretentious Boards of Canada fans out there and whatnot. I'm not one of them, but I've got to say that the music, I just never get bored of it. There are so many little intricate details in the music in all their albums, from the more heavier, harder electronic stuff. None of it's really heavy or hard, but with a lot of beats, I mean. And then the more ambient stuff. You can listen to anything. Get a new pair of headphones, get a good pair of headphones, listen loud, listen clear. You'll find something new each time. So many intricate little noises, and there's a lot of people who believe that they put hidden references in the music, something which they've kind of denied, but I do think they enjoy people like wondering and querying whether there are some satanic references in their music. Absolutely sensational. But this is Boards of Canada's first proper LP. They had released a few EPs before this. That was Tourism and High Scores, both great EPs. But this was the first LP, and after this they've released Gio Got It, The Campfire Head Phase, and Tomorrow's Harvest. And I love everything that Boards of Canada have done, and I would be happy to have all their LPs on vinyl. And also an EP called In a Beautiful Place out in the country, and even the Trans-Canada Highway. Nothing these guys have done has been anything less than really good in my opinion. But I think this is my favourite. It's slightly lighter than the album that came after it, Gio Got It, which is darker, quite simply, and more mysterious, I'd say. With this, there's a humongous feeling of nostalgia, and it is the most common word to hear when you're talking about Boards of Canada overall, but it's just genuinely true. But you feel nostalgia for times that you never actually lived. You look in the comments in the YouTube section of Boards of Canada videos, and like I said, there's a lot of pretentious arseholes out there, a lot of people talking about drugs. I love this music, and I've never taken any kind of drugs or hallucinogenic drugs or anything like that. I'm not saying it's necessarily bad if you do. What I'm saying is you don't need the drugs to enjoy incredible music like this. The drug is the music. But yeah, there's one of the children on the back. Face obscured. And also on this album, there are, hold on, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. I think 17 tracks. And there's also a bonus track called Happy Cycling, which you might be able to get on certain vinyls. You've got to be careful when you purchase vinyls if there are certain ones in different areas where you might miss out on tracks. It happened to me with Portishead when I missed out on a track called It's a Fire. I think it was either the Japanese or the American version it's on, but it's not on the European version, and it's one of my favourite Portishead songs. I was fucking gutted. But yeah, like I said, nostalgia, these old school vibes, and these kind of, not references, but like sound bites from wildlife documentaries and things like that, and weird track listings, and I don't know what's going on, guys. It's one of those where you just gotta listen to it to understand it. Absolutely beautiful, one of my favourite albums of all time. I'll never get bored. But boys, where's the new album? It's been 6 years now since Tomorrow's Harvest, and I'm hoping within the next 4 or 5 years we'll have a new Boards of Canada album. Tomorrow's Harvest, it was weird because it wasn't as dark as Gio Got It. Oh shit, I've broken the seal on that, fuck. Yeah, it wasn't as dark as Gio Got It, but it was very apocalyptic. With the name, the album cover, and some of the tracks like Cold, Earth, was it New Seeds, Sick Times. Oh, God, it gives me goosebumps. Anyway, something else that gives me goosebumps, ladies and gentlemen, the second to last vinyl I'm showing in this here video. It is a very bare, and the next two vinyls are very bare bones, not much to them in the inlays or anything extra in the sleeves and whatnot, but I don't really give a fuck. It's the music at the end of the day which matters, and it is The Tallest Man on Earth with The Wild Hunt. Yes, the man who, if you go on to any of his music on YouTube, everyone will be comparing him to Bob Dylan, and I hate comparisons like that, even though you can't deny he sounds a little bit like Dylan. But for me, Christian Matson, who is the tallest man on earth, even though he only sits at 5'7", ladies and gentlemen, is his own man, and he brings his own flavour to the party, and he's okay, got a similar voice to Dylan's, but his lyrical style is different, and his guitar playing, especially on this album, is absolutely incredible. Finger-picking style, and it's just this technicality mixed in with the melodies and the beauty and some absolutely gorgeous moments. For me, this is one of the best folk albums ever made, and I think, even though it's only 9 years old, it is now already a cult classic. I think this was a classic within months of releasing, to be honest with you. Everything that this guy has done has been really good. This, I do believe, let's have a look here, let's have a Butcher's. You know what I'm saying? Let's have a Butcher's. This was his second LP, but his first LP was Shallow Grave. He also has done, well, 2 EPs, The Tallest Man on Earth 2006, Sometimes the Blues is Just a Passing Bird 2010, which was released I think a few months after this. There's No Leaving Now, Dark Bird is Home. In the last couple of years, he's moved away from folk and finger picking towards a more kind of simplistic, I'd say pop style, to be honest with you. And needless to say, the music hasn't been as good. Songwriting hasn't been as good, in my opinion, as well. And I do worry that Christian is just going to keep churning out bad music now. Not that it's bad, it's just nowhere near as good. You know, I've tried to get a few people to listen to his music and they're turned off by the vocals. There can be no doubt his vocals are very abrasive and loud, but yet and still, there's so much personality to them. And yeah, he's just made some good shit, and every single EP and album, apart from his last one, there's The Dark Bird Flew Home, whatever the fuck it's called. I'm not good with names, but yeah, I wouldn't want that one on vinyl, but the rest I would be happy to have on vinyl. And it's just 5 tracks on either side. You've got The Wild Hunt opening the album up. One of my personal favourites, Troubles Will Be Gone. That got me through some dark times, let me tell you. You're Going Back. The King of Spain, which is quite simply goosebump inducing. Love Is All, goosebump inducing. 1,000 Ways. A Lion's Heart, which may well be my favourite on the album, and it's just so devastating. And then Kids on the Run, which is mainly piano, and it kind of showcases what he would go on to do after this album. For me, this is Christian Matson at his peak. It's an absolute masterpiece, and you need to listen to it if you haven't, ladies and gentlemen. But I think now this might be vinyl number 16 or 17, and is the first hip-hop and rap vinyl in my collection. You won't see many more, because I'm not big on rap and hip-hop overall, but you know, sometimes you will see some in the next 3 or 4 vinyl pickups. Next, I know, 15 to 20, you'll see a handful. I've got 2 in mind already. But this, ladies and gentlemen, is a Tribe Called Quest with the low end. But wait, it is not the low end theory. It is the Midnight Marauders. And please excuse it, because it looks like there's a phallus there, but that is just the hands. And what I love about this is we've got all sorts of different rappers on here. I actually looked on Wikipedia for some of who these people are. We've got P. Diddy, he's on here. We've got Ice-T, he's on here. We've got a few members of the Beastie Boys on here. A few members of the Far Side on here. And a few others as well that you may well know. And also some that you won't. The guy from Public Enemy, I think, is on here too. Like I said before, really bare bones, this one. Not much to say. You can't actually open it up, and inside is just the vinyl. I don't usually show off the vinyls themselves, even though some of them are really cool. That Alice in Chains, Sap, Jarrah Fly's vinyl is my favourite so far. That was awesome. But yeah, Tribe Called Quest, for me, the 2 most legendary, iconic, and just genuinely best albums were Midnight Marauders and The Low End Theory. The Midnight Marauders, this was released in 1993, late 1993. Low End Theory was 1991. And basically, if you don't know, although this is rap and hip-hop, it kind of infuses it with jazz and funk, soul, R&B as well. They say jazz, but I don't want you to think of jazz as, you know, 1950s or everyone smoking and blah, 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 blah. It's not like that. It's very chill. And yeah, it's just what they call conscious lyrics, which is basically not just the usual hip-hop of smacking big booty bitches, although there might be 1 or 2 tracks on here where a few big booties get smacked. I don't know what I'm talking about, ladies and gentlemen. But anyway, let's just go through the track listing here, shall we? What have we got? We've got the Steve Biko, Stir It Up. I can't remember who Steve Biko was. Award Tour, 8 Million Stories. We Can Get Down, Electric Relaxation, which is legendary, and it's probably cliche, but it may well be my favourite on the album. Great lyrics as well. A lot of people find it controversial because it kind of, you know, Q-Tip and Five Dog are kind of talking about wanting to get with some women, and because they're heterosexual men, they want to have sex with them, which I don't think should be a controversial thing, but hey, it was controversial in 1993, it's sure as hell going to be controversial in 2019, ladies and gentlemen. We've got Sucker African American, I'm not allowed to say the word, Oh My God, featuring Busta Rhymes. He was a big friend of Tribe Called Quest. Lyrics to Go, Keep It Rolling. We Can Get Down. Did I always mention that? Oh, Midnight as well. Such a kind of... It's chill, but it's gritty at the same time, and quite simply, it gives you a nighttime feel. And it says in the album itself, with the Midnight Marauders tour guide, that we listen to our music 7 times out of 10 at night. Thus, the title of this album, Midnight Marauders. Maraud means to loot, and in this case, we loot for ears. That is at the start of the album, and it's really cool. I love Tribe Called Quest, one of my favourite rap hip-hop artists of all time. I definitely need to get Low End Theory on vinyl. After those 2 classic albums, and I've got to say, the first album was People's Instinctive Travels in the Paths of Rhythm, which I believe was released in late 89, early 1990. I don't think they'd quite found the sound yet, if you will, but it's still a really solid album. And after Midnight Marauders, Beats, Rhymes and Life was a solid yet flawed album that came out in 96, probably at the height of the whole gangster rap movement, really. And then it was a Love Movement in 1998, which was a pretty poor album, although it had a few really good tracks. There's one track on that which I love. And then a few years ago, they released The Return, but it was always meant to be a goodbye. But the first album in 18 years, which was We Got It From Here, ... Thank You For Your Service. And of course, I think it was during that album, Five Dog actually passed away. I can't remember what it was. It might have been cancer, but I can't remember. I should know, but at the time, it was only 2-3 years ago, but when did he die? The 5-foot assassin. He was very small, apparently. March 2016. I say I was only getting into them then, but I wasn't really getting into them then. I was fully into them. Diabetes, I mean, Jesus, complications in regards to diabetes. There's no way to go at age 45 as well. It's just utterly crazy. It really is. But yeah, I do prefer Q-Tip to Five Dog, but they were both very different and worked off each other so well. So much personality. God damn it, if you don't dislike rap and you've never listened to Tribe Called Quest, give them a listen. Holy shit, come on. For the Zulu Nation. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, 5 vinyls, and I'll be back with 5 more in about 5 or 6 months. See you then.